It is Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank on the Voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. It's time now for another interview segment, and it is, of course, sponsored by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Of course, we're getting close to the time that we're supposed to be getting back to school and start thinking about sending kids back. But, of course, in this time of coronavirus, it is going to be very different indeed. So we've reached out to many of the school district superintendents to come back on our show and to talk about what their districts are doing in this time of coronavirus to make sure that kids get the education that they need. Joining us right now on the phone is Michael Vuckovich, who is the superintendent of the Indiana Area School District. Michael, thank you very much for joining us here on Indiana in the Morning.
Well, good morning, Josh. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here and continue to share our messages and what's going on here in the district. So thank you very much.
So let's talk about what's been going on over these past few months. I know I've been watching them as part of the meeting coverage that we've been doing of the Indiana School Board. But let's talk about what Indiana has been doing. I mean, obviously, with a district as big as Indiana has, with 4 elementary buildings and 2 upper grade level buildings, it's got to be very, I guess, I don't want to say confusing, but it is very, I guess, detailed as to what has to go on in each building to make sure that everything is safe to go when the students go back to class.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of moving parts going on. And right now, our biggest goal is the safety of our students and our staff. But also in the back of our mind, we're asking ourselves, how can we make a plan that's reflective of the community's wishes and give those families some flexibility? So what we did, Josh, is we built some options for families to take time to choose from and look at. And what we made sure we can do is we allow for some flexibility. So if maybe one of the options the families didn't like, or the ones that they chose they may not like, they have a chance to go into another pathway to give their kid an option, because it's all new for all of us. And right now, at the heart of it, our board's been pretty insistent. Safety first, followed by some flexibility and compassion. How can we make this as flexible and compassionate to our families and our staff as possible? And that's what we're working on. The hard part, Josh, though, as you know, every day something's changing. And we're constantly having to keep up and work with that. And we're going to do that when our team is going to meet the moment. Everyone's working really hard together, and it's a fluid situation, but we're going to continue to do the right things and make sure we have a plan in place that is suitable and safe for all.
One of the things that actually has been going on is you've been updating everybody, not just through the meeting coverage, but also through the website as well and the Facebook pages. You've been taking to the website and to social media very actively to make sure that everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. I appreciate what we're trying to do. Our board's pretty insistent. Do our best to over-communicate. Our plans, like a lot of schools' plans, are fragile, and we need everyone to pull together. We need everyone to understand the basic tenets of the plan, and we're trying to do our best to over-communicate. And sometimes that gets annoying, I guess, with all the emails and social media blasts we're sending, but we want to do our best to make sure parents and our families are aware of what we're doing, what are some of our protocols, our expectations are, and we're just simply trying to over-communicate. Our families are great. People are scared. People are all nervous, and we're just trying to let them know, hey, coming into it, here's our expectations, here's what we ask from you, and here's some things we're trying to do to create awareness. And our parents have been nothing but incredible understanding that and putting up with all of my emails and social media blasts. But it's one of those things where I think, as fluid as the situation is, we need to constantly keep communicating, reiterating, and explaining our expectations. And I think that's just fair. And you know what? End of the day, Josh, what we might come to, I surrender. If some families don't want to read the email, or some families find the information redundant, that's okay. They don't have to look at it, or they can say, hey, I already knew that. So we're trying to do it in a way that's gentle but relentless.
One of the things that is going on as part of keeping people informed is these virtual town hall meetings for each of the individual schools. And tonight is actually the first group of those meetings. Maybe you can talk about that right now.
Yeah, Josh, what we wanted to do, we've done a lot of the meetings, as you know, with me leading them from the district level, meeting with the board, going over all those things. And now we're at a point where I think we've done a good job setting the tone, setting expectations, making people aware of our protocols, processes. But now we also think it's time now for the buildings to hear from some questions and concerns from parents that they may have and hopefully clarify. So what we did, Josh, last week I sent videos out, and they're available on our YouTube channel. But we sent an email out to our families explaining about these little pre-recorded videos each building made to let parents know what the school day will look like mostly. And that includes what it looks like in the classroom, how they're going to get dropped off, the temperature screenings, and what it looks like in the cafeteria. So we thought let's get out in front of it. Let's give parents a chance to look at some of the protocols, from these videos, and then they can decide, do I have more follow-up questions I need to do, or am I good based upon what's in the district's plan as well as this video? So we tried to front-load people as much as possible, so if they go to the town hall meetings tonight, it can be a little bit more specific and detailed and not so general. But again, that's up to families, and we hope everyone got that email. That's our goal. But again, our goal is just to continue to communicate, continue to try to engage our community, make them aware we're doing. And I got to tell you, Josh, we may not have all the answers tonight. One thing we're still working on is how our synchronized learning efforts are going to go. Mm-hmm. We're still building on that. We know it's a priority, but we're not there yet. But hopefully these videos will help assist families in getting a little bit more sense of what it looks like at the building level. Because you said we have 6 buildings, and also a lot of families had a nice chance to talk directly to the building principals about some of their plans as well. So it's another attempt from our part to outreach to our families, to engage them, to see where they're at, what they're thinking, and what their thoughts may be. So we think it makes sense for us. It's the right thing to do for our families.
Let's talk about how that educational model is going to look for Indiana for this year. And we know that it is a hybrid model. Kids can either come to class or they have the options, as you said, to attend classes in Indiana School District on a virtual basis, and also through synchronous, and it sounds like asynchronous learning. So let's kind of differentiate the fact on those two. Synchronous means that the kids will be in the classroom watching it as the class happens live, right?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to That's what we're trying to work on right now. What we're going to do is through Google Hangouts, we're going to simply show the teacher's screen. So the kids are at home, can sit down, watch it, hear the same lesson, and see the same activity that the kids are doing in class for those who need it. And what we're going to do is spend time with the families, work that out. We're going to have some, I think, seeing some bugs in the road, but we're going to continue to work through that and that allow that synchronous opportunity. Asynchronous are for those families who, look, we're going to get the work done, but we're going to do it on our schedule, our time frame, and allow them to work individually on their schedule. So that's exactly what we're doing there. And what we're trying to do there, again, Josh, is provide flexibility to our families and our parents who need it the most. And it's a fluid situation, and we're going to have some bugs as we work things out. But as one thing coming from the spring, we know we need to improve with those synchronous learning opportunities for our families.
So how has Indiana School District improved those synchronous learning opportunities? Has it been upgrades in technology? Has it been upgrades in curriculum? What?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. One thing we did is we made sure we had the right technology in place. So we ordered additional Chromebooks for the kids to have meet the one-to-one initiative. So grades 4 through 12 this upcoming school year, we're going to go one-to-one. So every kid will get a computer. Those who want that will have that capability. We also have enough webcams for our classrooms to make sure that the teachers can do the synchronous learning opportunities. And then most importantly, we have a group of about 15 teachers working with a small administrative team to look at and define what synchronized learning looks like, what the expectations are surrounding it, and to make sure we're all on the same page. Because before we go out and run the play, we have to build a framework, and that's exactly what we're doing now. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing where more communication, more information to parents will come out. We're not there yet, but we're making progress, and I'm proud of the work we're doing.
Is that one of the main reasons then why the district decided to push back the school year to the start of school to September 8th?
Yeah, that's a great question, Josh. We did it for a couple of reasons. Number one, like you said, the time for planning for our teachers to make sure they understand what synchronized learning is. We got to take a moment to recognize our teachers. You're looking at building 3 plans, and those who come to school, those who are going to be hybrid, and those who are going to be ideal. Planning and timing is going to be needed for that. 2, we also need to make sure we're on the same page what that looks like from a district expectation. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason is we want to see what happens with the IEP coming back in different surrounding schools, and make sure we have time to plan ourselves and make sure when we roll out our play and we run our play, it's done thoughtfully and not rushed on our end. And that's not criticizing anyone else, because they have great plans too. But we're saying, no, it's best for us. Let's go slow to go fast. Let's build our plan. Let's walk through our plan several times. And let's be fair to our teachers and onboard them on the plan. And we took that conservative route because we thought that was best for us.
I knew that phrase was going to come up, that go slow to go fast, because that's been almost been your trademark throughout your run as the district superintendent. But it's proven to work so far.
Yeah, so far. I mean, our plan's fragile, Josh, and we want to take our time. We've been very thoughtful and very transparent on our plan. And we're going to go slow, like you said, go slow to go fast, and we're going to work together, and we're going to involve the experts. I cannot thank the leadership at Indiana Regional Medical Center for them reaching out to me, working with me, helping us look at our plan, review the data, and make sure we're taking the right approach to this. And again, Josh, what I'd like to reiterate during this call today, it all can change. Who knows what happens with the data coming up? If anything, things get worse in the community, it could change. But for right now, our plan's in place, sir.
It could change for the better. It could change for the worse, as you said. We're talking with Indiana School District Superintendent Michael Vuckovich here on Indiana in the Morning about return to school plans. And Mike, one of the things that I've noticed in that feed of information from Indiana School District's social media pages has been a message about keeping the kids in the Indiana area school district and not having them go to any of the charter schools or the charter online schools that have been advertised as much as we've seen advertisements for. And you keep saying that even though it may look like it's free, an education at a charter school is not necessarily free. Maybe you can go into that a little bit.
Yeah, Josh, absolutely. If you want to do take you down a little bit of walk in the history, there's been some recent draft legislation look at cyber charter reform. I think, across Pennsylvania, you could save probably $290 to $300 million in taxpayer funds by doing some responsible cyber reform. And basically what happens is there's two big fees, one for the regular ed student and another one for a special needs student. And you'll see for a regular ed student, it's nearly $16,000 in Indiana, and then for a special needs student, it's about $30,000. And what happens is any kid who enrolls to go to a cyber school, that bill directly comes from our basic ed funding, and it goes to that cyber school or that charter school. And you have to ask yourself, and this is not one of whether you believe in cyber schools or charter schools or not, but you have to look at the business model. When you look at when a kid just gets the internet and they're provided a computer, is that really a cost equating $30,000? Here's my thought on it, Josh. Do I think cyber schools are here to stay? I do. I think it's codified in the code, and I think they're here. Mm-hmm. What I would say to anyone who says they should stay is, well, I'd look at the funding formula. Do you really need to pay $30,000 per student to go to a cyber school? And I would also say, look across Pennsylvania how much money is being, mass exodus out of public schools into these charter schools that are not located in our community, have no impact in our community, and are not invested in our community, where our school is. And I think what you saw this past year was two or three different attempts at cyber reform. One, I think, was a flat fee rate of $9,000, meaning the governor came back and said, look, cyber charter reform, maybe we'll pay $9,000 per kid who enters. Other one was if you offer your own cyber charter, it precludes a child from going from cyber school. So there's not a definite answer out there, but let me be clear on this. My thought, this is only my thought. I think cyber reform is long overdue. I think it's needed, and I think it'd be very costly to school districts. When you look at in particular case, Indiana, we went through a tax assessment repeal, which we did a great job managing those waters. Now we're going through a pandemic. These costs of cybers can have a huge negative impact on our school district. And here's another thing throughout. You look at Attorney Auditor General Eugene D. Pasquale. Mm-hmm. He just did an audit on one school district, a cyber school, with an $81 million general fund balance. Wow. $81 million of taxpayers' dollars sitting there. And you have to ask yourself, if the associations or these teachers aren't unionized and their only overhead is that of computer and internet, where is the money going? And it's not me to decide. And it's not my job to be critical. It's my job, though, to be reflective and honest and say, I think it could be done better. I think it's time to be done better. And if it's not done better soon, it can have a negative impact on all of us. And that's the only point I want to try to make today. I will say this. I'll put our teachers ahead of anyone else in this entire Commonwealth. I think they're that good. I think they can meet our kids' needs, and I'm proud of the work they're doing. Sir.
All right. Mike Vuckovich, Indiana Area School District Superintendent, thank you very much for joining us on Indiana in the Morning. I'll talk to you probably tonight at the meeting, and please keep us updated as further developments come in. Thanks again.
All right, Josh. Take care. Looking forward to it.
Thank you again. That is Michael Vuckovich, Superintendent of the Indiana School District here on Indiana in the Morning. Our interview is presented by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people.